Welcome to the Seahawks recap show with your host Ryan Koki. Game recap for Seahawks versus Commanders in this week 10 matchup. And oh my, I'm grateful to have the win, but why is it always whenever we have a win, we have to make it as close as possible so that every fan in attendance, every Seahawks fan at home, just has to cover their eyes like this every single time. I don't like it. Can we just have a nice convincing win like we did against the Giants? Is that too much to ask for? Anyways, good for the win. I hope we do a lot in week 11 when we face off against the Rams. But enough of me rambling. Let's get into breaking down this game, shall we? Let's look at the game summary. It's 29-26. Seahawks win it out. They're now 6-3 on the season. And let's start off with the Seahawks stats, shall we? They had 489 total yards, 369 passing yards, 120 rushing yards, better numbers than last week, thank goodness. They had 6.6 yards per play, 27 first downs, went 4 for 14 on third down, still a problem. We need to fix that. 1 for 1 on fourth down, had 74 total plays, 1 sack allowed, 4 punts, 8 penalties for 50 yards given up. That still needs to be addressed, in my opinion. 0 fumbles lost, no interceptions by Geno Smith. Good job, Geno. Nice to see you not forcing the passes downfield like you've been doing recent weeks. And they had 30 minutes and 27 seconds of possession time for the Commanders. No slouches, man. 356 yards total, 288 passing yards, 68 rushing yards, averaged 5.8 yards per play, 16 first downs, went 7 for 15 on third down, went 1 for 1 on fourth down, had 61 total plays, 3 sacks allowed, 5 punts, 6 penalties for 39 yards given up, 1 fumble lost, and no interceptions by Sam Howell. Nice clean game from both quarterbacks. 29 minutes and 33 seconds of possession time. And let's move on to Ryan's focus players. Geno Smith, let's talk about him for a moment. 31 for 47, 369 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. A lot better game from Geno, statistically. There are still a few things that we need to iron out, but I will get to that later on in my final thoughts. But all in all, good game from Geno Smith statistically, anyways. And let's get to the running back. It's Kenneth Walker, and these numbers are more like it. 19 carries, 63 yards, 3.3 yards per carry, 0 touchdowns. Would like to see his average yards go up, but that's just me. And he had the 1 reception for 64 yards and a touchdown. Nice to see. And for wide receiver, I chose DK Metcalf. He was a demon on that final drive to set up the late field goal made by Jason Myers. Great to see DK actually really showing out in this one. 7 receptions for 98 yards, averaged 14 yards per reception, and 0 touchdowns. On the other side, you got to give credit where credit is due. Commanders, Sam Howell did an amazing job. I think he's really come into his own in his second year, and I can't wait to see what he does with the Commanders in the future. He went 29 for 44, had 312 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And let's talk about the running back. It's Brian Robertson Jr., 8 carries for 38 yards, averaged 4.8 yards per carry with 0 touchdowns. And honestly, I put him at wide receiver as well because he was the leading wide receiver for this team. It was insane. You know, he can do it all. Do it all kind of running back. So nice to see. Brian Robertson Jr. had 6 receptions for 119 yards, averaged 19.8 yards per reception, and the 1 touchdown. Just insane. The way that they controlled play on the offense, the way that they were able to make people miss. have the amount of throws that they did with broken plays. It was insane to watch. It was terrifying to watch, but it was really mesmerizing in that sense. Let's get to the Seahawks defense, shall we? And I'm highlighting Leonard Williams again. Two solo tackles, one sack, no interceptions. And again, this is why, for anybody wondering why we brought Leonard Williams in instead of Chase Young, this is exactly why. Leonard Williams is 29. He's a mentor and he's just a beast. This guy can run through people. He got the sack on Sam Howell. He pushed him back. And honestly, he's just doing so much for this pass rush. Losing Uchenna Nwosu was terrible, but we needed someone to replace, and Leonard Williams has fit right into this scheme. So nice to see. And good to see a return on investment for Leonard Williams. I hope to see him in a Seahawks uniform at least for another year after this one. But let's talk about a good return on investment. It's the 5th overall pick this year, and it was Devin Witherspoon, corner. I love this man. 4 solo tackles, 1 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. But man, Devin Witherspoon was everywhere in this game. Everywhere. Both secondaries were insane in this game. It was mental. And the yards don't do them justice. Like, they were everywhere. They were trying to stop everything. And, Devin Witherspoon batting passes at the line, trying to punch out balls on forced fumbles. Like, everything was clicking for him. So nice to see. And I'm getting a little biased now, it might seem, but Boya Mafe, another guy that I really love. 4 solo tackles, 1 assisted tackle, 1 sack, 0 interceptions. And man, he now breaks a franchise record. I don't know who it was previously held by. So Seahawks fans, if you would like to comment that down below, that would be greatly appreciated. But he has now had sacks in 7 consecutive games. That is the most by a Seahawk in franchise history. That's insane. Like, even in terms of Legion of Boom days, if you're up there and creating a franchise record after the Legion of Boom, you're in very, very good company. So great to see Boya Mafe, and I hope he continues to improve his game and he'll be a star in this league for years to come. Speaking of stars, we got to talk about the Commanders, and we specifically got to talk about Jonathan Allen. When I said that their pass rush kind of got weaker because they traded away Montez Sweat and Chase Young? Well, Jonathan Allen and Jerron Payne are still there in the middle of that D line, and it looks like they're not really missing a beat because Jonathan Allen had 4 solo tackles, 1 sack, no interceptions, and every time the Seahawks have gone up against Jonathan Allen, every time the Seahawks have gone up against Jerron Payne, it's literally pain because as a Seahawks fan, you don't want to see your quarterback get hit. You don't want to see, your quarterback have to scramble out of the pocket for his life. But this is what Gino had to do in this game. And he's just a menace, Jonathan Allen. It's really impressive to see him play and to see him have a really dominant career with the Commanders. And we're talking about another corner in the DB position, and it is Benjamin St-Juste. 5 solo tackles, 2 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. But man, just like Devin Witherspoon, he was everywhere. He was like white on rice. He was literally covering DK Metcalf step for step. Like, if DK wasn't so good, he would have been locked down completely by Benjamin, and that's just insane to think. Good showing from Benjamin St-Juste because he was insane, and that entire secondary is mental. But we get to the linebacker, and it's Jermaine Davis. 6 solo tackles, 5 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions, and this whole entire linebacking core. I didn't know this linebacking core was that good because I haven't really paid attention a lot to the Commanders, but their linebacking core is scary, man. The running backs better watch out because they in the first half were just insane. They could tackle, they hit hard. It's mental to see them just come up and bury you in the dirt. It's just insane. This defense is still pretty mental. Ryan's final thoughts. What went well overall, it was a better offensive showing from the team in this hard-fought win. Better showing from both running backs, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet was a monster in this game. That dude can run, and that dude can run with some power. Honestly, you use him late in the game, and he'll again, like he has been all season, he can just run through people. Like it's insane the way he runs. So really nice pickup for the running back duos and nice showing by the offense. For the defense in the first half of that game, they kept Seattle in it. It was insane because we were going 3 and out, and we got kept in it by our defense. And I'm gonna say this again, man. Boya Mafe, congrats on breaking the franchise record, accomplishing 7 consecutive games, having at least 1 sack. Just great accomplishment for you, and I hope you continue to improve your game because I've really started to really pay attention to you these last couple of weeks. What to improve on? Although Gino was better in this game statistically, in the first half, we had 3 field goals to our name. We could have been up by 3 had we taken the points in the dying seconds of the second half. But it's just some of the decision making, man. Some of the decision making by Geno Smith, the intentional grounding call, like he's holding onto the ball way too long. He needed to throw quickly, and he just tried to extend the play too much, and he got hit, and it caused an intentional grounding, which then made a 10-second runoff, which then we just didn't get any points out of it. So it's those kind of decisions. It's those kind of mental lapses. Not to mention some throws he had in this game. He threw behind receivers. He threw, and it's just insane. I want to see the consistency come back from Geno Smith. He hasn't had the best last like 4 games, throwing picks in the red zone when he doesn't need to. He doesn't seem to be scanning the field as did last year. I want him to return to his comeback player of the year form because that Geno is what really we need right now. And paying him $100 million for 3 years, yeah, we're going to need him to be like that for the remaining 3 years of his contract because man, we can't do much without him. You know, we need these points, and it's only going to get harder in the playoffs. My final thoughts, though, that's why you pay your kicker 4 for 4 for Jason Myers on the day. To anyone who said, "Oh, why are we paying Jason Myers $21 million?" This is exactly why. Because when you need points, he scored what, 12 points worth of field goals? To see that he scored 12 points. He's the game MVP. He won it for us, didn't have to go to overtime. He just kicked it and won it. So that's why we pay our kickers. Honestly, great game to see the offense that can actually do something for once. But against the Commanders, against a team like the Commanders, and I mean, this is no disrespect, they are rebuilding. They are in a place where they are getting worse so that they can draft and basically rebuild their team from a spot. They're retooling at this point. So you shouldn't have this much trouble closing out a game. Honestly, that needs to be better. You guys shouldn't have this many gaps to allow teams to come back on you. I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again. In the playoffs, these small mistakes that the offense is making, Gino included, but also the play calling, you guys are not going to be able to overcome that in the playoffs. If you guys can't sort that out, you're not going to go far in the playoffs. It only gets harder from here, and it gets harder in the playoffs exponentially because that's where all the good teams hang out and show up. So you need to fix that for come playoff time because if you don't, you'll just get bounced out really quickly. But congrats to Sam Howell and the Commanders. You really had me scared the entire game. Honestly, Brian Robinson Jr. and Sam Howell, the amount of times I saw Sam Howell just escape the pocket like a wizard, evade pressure, and still throw accurately enough to make the defense freeze and then just throw it over the top and get a huge chunk of yardage. Like it's just insane. Those little flea flicks out to Brian Robinson were just insane in this game. So it's really nice to see. You guys finally picked it up in the second half. And if you guys honestly played a full game of football, you guys could have easily had won this game. And what I mean by a full game of football is, if you had just kept yourself in positions where you were throwing the ball away in certain situations when you got pressured. There's just some plays in there where you could fix up, but you're a second year quarterback. You're gonna make mistakes. But you guys are also retooling at the moment. If you guys get rid of Ron Rivera, honestly, I would love to see Eric Bieniemy become your full-time head coach because I love his offensive schemes. He comes from a team of Super Bowl champions, so in the Kansas City Chiefs. So I want to see what he would do with a defense. And but honestly, great game from you, Commanders. I would not be upset at this game at all. You just need to fix some of your errors, and I believe you guys could be contenders in a couple of years or so. That is it for me here on the Seahawks Recap Show, recapping week number 10, Seahawks versus Commanders. Nice to see the bounce back win from the Seahawks, and we're now 6-3. Let's see in week 11 against the Rams if we can get to 7-3. I will see you hopefully then, and I will see you on Saturday for News of the Week, episode number 14. Hope to see you then. This is Ryan Koki of the Seahawks Recap Show, signing off. Go Hawks, go.